Three, two,
Jeremy here with Velocity Studio Mix, here to help you create your own studio quality mix in minutes. Now in this episode we're talking about how easy it is to integrate recording consoles into your own home recording studio workflow. That's right, I did say recording consoles, meaning multiple consoles at your disposal. And it's super easy to accomplish this thanks to today's technology. So in the past, you had to go record at a specific studio. That studio had some type of analog console and gear with all the tracks and faders and its internal electronics that you recorded through onto tape. All the components of a physical console added a texture to your audio performance. That's why there have been highly sought after studios to record in, like Abbey Road Studios in London, which used to be EMI, where the Beatles and Pink Floyd famously recorded. Sunset Studios in Hollywood, California, where Van Halen, Led Zeppelin, and the Rolling Stones have recorded. Also, Hitsville, USA in Detroit, where the Jackson 5, the Temptations, Marvin Gaye, and Stevie Wonder recorded. Trident Studios in London, where the Beatles, Queen, and David Bowie recorded, and Sound City Studios in Los Angeles, one of my favorites, where Dave Grohl from the Foo Fighters famously bought the Neve console that had so many artists and hits recorded on it, including his own band Nirvana, Fleetwood Mac, and Metallica, just to name a few. So the main point of this is that these studios had specific factors that made up their coveted sound. One factor is the rooms themselves. Rooms have a unique sound. Another factor is sometimes the audio engineer and producer involved in the project and their expertise. But the very attainable factor that we're going to be talking about today is the gear, or in this case the console they were using to record the artist. So some of the most famous consoles in these studios were the Solid State Logic SSL console, made famous by Chris Lord-Alge. The Neve console, which we talked about with Dave Grohl, used at Sound City, Los Angeles, California. The API console used at Sunset Sound in Hollywood, California. The TG12345 used at Abbey Roads or EMI in London, and the Trident and Harrison consoles used also in London, just to name a few. So again, thanks to technology, we don't have to travel around the world just to find a certain studio or console that we want to record on. We can pull up several different consoles in a matter of seconds right onto your DAW. We can instantly get some of that flavor of some of the favorite consoles and some of the most iconic studios and records that you've ever heard. We'll talk about this and more coming up next. All right, let's get right into it. We're going to be looking at a track here that we've recorded, several tracks actually. We've got drums, we've got a bass section, we've got clean guitars, distortion guitars. We've got some strings going on here, okay? We've also got organ, and then we're going to mute the Vox and the BVGs, and then here are our buzzes. And the idea here is you're recording in your home studio into whatever DAW you're using. Pro Tools is what I'm using, but it doesn't matter what DAW you're recording in. It's very transparent and digital. It's very clean, not a lot of coloration. You have to, after the fact, or either grab some outboard gear and color that yourself. Different from a console. So no matter what you're using, what DAW you're using, or what audio interface you're recording into your DAW, it's very transparent and clean. That's a good thing. I think that's a good thing. Just realizing that, though, after the fact, that a console gives you some coloration as the signal, as the instruments that are being performed. That audio performance goes through components and creates different textures and different sounds, okay? So let's move on over to our mix window. So here you can see that we have all of our buses. These are all our buses right here. Of course, then over on the right hand side here, you can see our mix bus. Then we have our main outs, and then totally forget about this last area because it is just the pod mic that's going on, okay? And then far left to that, we have all of our tracks that are taking place. I'm going to zoom over there, and you can see There's all the tracks that we previously looked at. We got drums, we've got bass, we've got clean guitars, lead, distortion guitar, distortion, strings, keys, and again we're muting the Vox and BVGs, and now we're back to our buses. So now what I've done is, just so you know, we can use any plugin that we want to accomplish this. We don't have a big console, so what we're going to do to get that coloration is use plugins. We can pull them in just a matter of moments. Now there's several different companies out there. Obviously Waves has plenty of these. They have the Abbey Road, they have the API collection, they have solid state plugins, they have all kinds of plugins out there. Also, SSL has their own plugin, all their whole array of plugins. I think they have about 20 or 30 plugins now that replicate or emulate their plugins. We're going to look at that in just a moment. Also, there's Universal Audio, Waves, Plugin Alliance. There's plenty of different companies out there that emulate all these. We're going to start with VMR, which is by a mix rack by Steven Slate, and their tape. Okay, and just really quick, we're going to go right into that. We're going to, let's see, let me activate that. And we're going to look at the VTM is what they call it. It's a virtual tape machine. Okay, there's the same thing in Universal Audio has one. I mean, everybody has this tape kind of emulation, but the idea is in recording studios back in the day, they didn't have digital. It ran through tape, and it rounds off your signal or sound. Now you could just stick this on the main out or the mix bus, right? You could stick it over there and that would have a little bit of effect, but probably fractional. But the idea is in a recording studio that is running through a cumulative. I put it on every single bus. You can put it on every single bus. You can put it on every single track and run it through that. Okay, so I'm gonna go back over here and we're gonna look at the VMR. This is by Steven Slate, and it is a actual console emulation. Okay, this is the virtual mix bus. You put this on every single bus that you have, and then if you wanted to, you could just put it on the mix bus if you wanted to, but you can put it on every single bus. And again, there's the accumulative advantage, just like a console has, because the accumulative advantage was that it's on every single track. You're running audio through every single track. Okay, you can also take it a step further, which I do, and you can put it on every single track, not just every single bus, but just like a real console, it was on every single track. So you can see if I scroll through here, it is on every single track. Now on that, they have a different one to use. It's the virtual channel. Okay, and then again on the bus is the virtual mix bus. Okay, so let's go over it really quick. It's really easy to understand. At the bottom, you have group bypass. We'll talk about that in just a moment. There's a group button. These two things we'll talk about in a moment. Very, very important. There's a noise reduction button. There's a drive button. So you can push this and give it a little bit more color, a little bit more distortion as it were, or you can keep it like I've got it about on 6. A middle knob. Now this determines which console you're going for, and then you have a input, output, and group I/O right here, and a meter to see how much you're affecting on this track. Again, it's on every single bus, and then there's a VCC for the tracks. Okay, and so the idea here is you pick one of these console emulations. You've got two SSLs here, the 4KE and the 4KG. Okay, those are both emulations of the solid state. Then you've got the USA, which is the API. You've got the Brit-In, which is the Neve. You've got the Trident and the RC Tube. I can't quite remember which one that is. Maybe that's Universal Audio. I can't quite remember which one that is. Maybe that's the Abbey Road, probably the Abbey Road RC Tube, most likely. But anyway, you just take that knob and you just select whichever one you want. So I could turn it on USA for APIs or the Neve, or I can have it on solid state right here. But I'm going to turn that on that knob. Okay, and I'm going to do that for every single one of these on the bus. Now that takes us down to the group here. Group, I've turned it from its default on none to 1. And the reason why I'm going to do that is I've placed that on all of these. Every single one of these, it's on the Brit 4KG. It's on the same bus, okay? And the idea is what I can do is I can turn on and off. I can bypass all of them, turn on and off to be able to see the cumulative effect, okay? And because every single one of these are on group 1, it will be on the same on and off group bypass, so I can hear the cumulative effect of that. So I absolutely like that. And of course, the same thing on the VMR for the tracks. It's the exact same thing. Still got it on group 1. I can turn it on and on, group bypass, right? And same output, everything. I can hit a little bit more drive if I want to, per the track if I want to, a little bit more input output if I want to per the track. I can even do a different console if I want to, but this the group feature kind of puts it all together so that you're all on the same thing and you can kick on and off that group at any time. Now let's really quick, we're going to make active our SSL really good. Again, you can get Plugin Alliance, you can get Waves, any number of different these plugins anywhere, but the main point is right now I've got all of my fab filters, I've got any of my effects all inactive. The only thing I've got on is the tape from Slate, the VMR from Slate, and now we're making active the SSL. So now I'm going to pull back up my 360 software by Solid State. Absolutely love this. And now we've loaded in by making active, we've got all of our channel strips here, okay? And I can, across the bottom, I can use my scroll wheel on my mouse. And if I had any more lanes, any more channel strips, it would scroll right to left. I can put my mouse over this area and it'll go up and down so I can see every bit of the channel strip up top, okay? And I'm going to go to our transport and let's hit play. Okay, so right now it's actually running through, even though I'm not EQing anything right now. I'm not EQing anything right now, but it is running through consoles. Okay, so one thing you might want to do, you've got to have your headphones on to probably see or hear the difference in all this. Okay, I mean it's fractional. It's really good. It gives you a warmer sound. It rounds off the edges, and I'm talking about the consoles. I'm talking about also the tape that's taking place. But have a listen to this. It's absolutely amazing. Notice I've group bypassed, and now we're going to play. So notice that right there, what I just did. I really pegged out the input output and I pegged out the drive. So you can tell the difference just in volume there when we do that. Let's hit play. That's off. That's on. That's off. Off. On. So So there's a big difference there, okay? And if you put that across all tracks and activate these across all tracks, that's going to be a big difference, okay? So hopefully that helps you some. Again, I love this plugin by Solid State Logic, SSL. Love this thing. Again, we've not even used any of the EQ, right? No EQ here, no compression, no nothing. We're just running it through the console, okay? Same thing with the Slate plugin, okay? Just running it through the console, okay? And then just, peg out some of this, the drive a little bit, and the I/O on here, group bypass on and off, and see what you got. But I absolutely love it. Obviously, I wouldn't use both of these at the same time, but the point is without any cue whatsoever, without effects, without anything, just some tape and some SSL, plug-in. Absolutely amazing. Gives it more warmth, gives it more of that analog sound. Hopefully this helps you.